Kiladan palat pho hajar ngut ki khynnah skul tang haki banta jong kathan Laitumkhrah badai na kani gadaw baka sarkar kathmu ban persang no daki skul bus ban wengjing khapnya hakapor long skul. Ya kani le thudu menteri rang baka sarkar jilla ukon rat ki sangma haba jubab haki kenta keli jingkeli hayeng dorbar hakasni balang.
Sir, for this entire process, sir, I would like to go into the background. That the idea, of course, is to reduce the congestion in the city. And we have approximately 27,000 students who are commuting to schools in the Laitumkhrah and Dhanketi area. And almost 60% of the schools, students use private mode of transportation. So keeping that in mind, a lot of discussion took place with the stakeholders, which is the schools themselves, the parents, the police, government, administration, and a number of efforts were made to coordinate with the schools to start these bus services. But we found that the schools were very reluctant. A lot of them were reluctant to run the bus services, where they stressed on the fact that it is very complicated, and of course their primary work is to teach and not run bus services. And hence we were in a very complex situation where we had to achieve the goal of reducing the congestion, yet be sensitive towards the concerns of the parents and the schools. And hence we decided that let us start the process and let us pilot this by starting this innovative program where we get a society to run the buses, and the schools which are ready to work with this society will then be able to start the services. And if we realize and see that it's working well, we could then expand the services, number one. And number two, maybe once the schools see the benefit in this having the buses, then maybe we could discuss with the schools and then make it into a mandatory proposal where we could have the buses on a mandatory basis. So therefore, this is a process. I'm not saying that we will not make it mandatory, and neither am I saying that we will make it mandatory, but we have to start somewhere. And therefore, we decided that after consulting with all the stakeholders, that this proposal of putting up a society that would run these services in coordination with the schools and the administration and the parents seemed to be the most practical way to start. And then let us move forward and see how it goes, and we can then adapt and adjust as per the situation.
Your next supplement.
Yes, sir. Well, sir, in the reply of the Chief Minister, he has said that after discussion with many stakeholders, they have found that this proposal may not work. Or at the same time, he has mentioned that perhaps they will have a re-look into the making it mandatory, take into consideration a few examples which they will be experimenting. Question is, let's not look beyond our state in Assam. Even in Shillong, there is a school called the B.K. Bajoria School, which runs multiple school buses from all over the Shillong agglomeration, and they have been doing pretty well. So I would like to suggest to the Honorable Chief Minister, if a case study can be done as to how they are managing, thereby other schools also can be encouraged to do the same, sir. Because requests have come from various quarters to me, and I believe to other MLAs also, especially from children who are from lower economic backgrounds, living in the periphery of the location of where all the schools are located, that is the Laitumkhrah, Dhanketi, and Fire Brigade region. So requests have come from different villages like Bolanray, Naura, Umpling, who have to depend on public transport to bring their children to school. So if some schools have buses, then that will be solved, and coming in taxis by the hundreds will ease congestion. My suggestion, sir, is since the Honorable Chief Minister said he will have a look into it, I'll be grateful if the same can be examined once again, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sir, the concerns of the honorable member is absolutely genuine. And what he is saying is exactly what we are doing, sir. That because we found that there was a lot of demand from the parents, from students and from schools also. As I was saying, sir, we did a vast consultation. Almost 6,000 surveys were conducted. More than 1,000 parents and almost 15 schools 22 institutes were consulted. There were more than 100 meetings that took place before we came out with this model. So it's not that it's just been done like that. We have come out with this proposal after consulting with almost every stakeholder. As I said, so more than 100 meetings took place before this model was finalized with almost every stakeholder. And hence, we felt that this model, so just explain it for the benefit of the House, that this is a model which we call STEM, so it's a Sustainable Transport and Efficient Mobility Society. And the idea, sir, is to be able to provide a society that will then run the system of these buses, where number one objective being that the management of these overall buses, the running of these buses, the maintenance of these buses will not be the headache of the schools, but the society will run these buses. And neither the government also will be directly involved in this. The society will be empowered to do the work. So it will serve the purpose of ensuring that, number one, the children are able to get the services. And as I said, we started with 30 buses. If this model works well, then we will expand it into much larger fleets, sir. The second part, sir, which is very, very important to understand, is that by giving the buses to the schools will run it in the morning once and in the afternoon once. What happens on Saturdays and Sundays? What happens on holidays? And hence we realize that maybe the most efficient way to ensure that the buses are utilized in the most efficient manner may not be by giving it to the schools, because schools also are reluctant to take it. So therefore, if the society is given the responsibility, after the school children are dropped in the school in the morning, the society will then plan and see how that bus could be then used maybe to pick up government employees from a particular location. And then also maybe on a weekend, instead of the bus lying in a particular parking place, it can be used for tourism purpose maybe. And tourists can be then taken to locations. So the whole idea of creating a society is to ensure that we are able to run the system in a proper manner. We are able to utilize the overall buses in a much more productive manner, not just for children's dropping in and picking up, but also for other purposes. The idea being to decongest Shillong city. And last but not the least, so very important in fact, that once the society runs this, there will be very, very strict safety measures. Parents were very much concerned that the children's safety is very important. So, sir, each of these buses, for example, has a GPS tracking system. So the parents can actually see where the bus has reached on their mobile phones. We'll be having about 5 CCTV cameras installed in every bus, which means that if any situation, God forbid, then the CCTV recording is there for any kind of safety and security measures that are there. And the people who will be in it will be trained to ensure that the safety and security of the children, most importantly, is kept. So these are all very important factors, and we felt a society running this system would help us achieve all these goals that we had. And as I said, as we move forward, we will see how we would be able to improve the system. And if the schools at a later stage feel that they are ready to run the services themselves, we can definitely explore it. And if we feel that the STEMS model is working fine, then we'll be able to expand the fleet. The point that mentioned by the honorable member regarding the bus services of a particular school, so we can definitely study that model also, and we can ask the team from STEMS to definitely look into it. So I just wanted to give an idea that this model has been developed after a lot of detailed thought process, keeping all these different factors in mind.
Yes, please, Basalang.
So we have seen the history of mispresence actually run by the society. Now look at the history of Junun, which was already given to the society throughout. Now all the bus is, in the storeroom actually, not even the single buses are running right now. So if we again hand it over to the society, it means like we are diverting the responsibility which was supposed to be given to the schools. So what I feel is that whatever suggestion made by our honorable MLA, I think that should be examined nicely actually. Otherwise, giving to the society again, they will, because the responsibility will change, it will deter. So what I feel is that it will be better if we give it to the instead of society, direct to the school itself. Those whichever schools want to run the buses, I think that will be a perfect, example actually. Now we have seen even in Tura also we are seeing Servo school which is running their own buses. Even in Kacharina school they are running their own buses. So that way if we can look at and examine how they're running, I think that will be the better. Instead of giving it to the society, because society will defer their responsibility. And then they will look at the, benefit, the profit, But we have seen already those who run the,
What is the question, please?
Question is that instead of giving it to the society, if it can be, give the responsibility to the school itself. Okay. Thank you.
Sir, the suggestion and the point mentioned by the honorable member also has its validity in the sense that it would be a good solution if the schools would run it. But as I mentioned in my opening remarks, a large number of schools are not willing to run it. They are saying that our primary job is to teach the students. We are not bus services, so we don't want to run bus service. Who will maintain it? Who will pay for the driver? Who will pay for the fuel? Who will maintain the overall, the buses? So we had all these different challenges and concerns that came out from the schools and even the parents. And hence, we had to start somewhere. So therefore, after doing so much of consultation, as I said, more than 100 meetings and more than, almost close to 6,000-7,000 surveys, we felt that we'll start with this model. We're not saying that we are closing the option of giving it to the schools. Absolutely not. We will examine that, sir. But since there was so much of yes, no going on from different areas, we felt that if we continue to be indecisive and not take a decision where to start, then we'll be stuck forever in this mess. And hence, let us take a decision. There is no decision that's always perfect. There will always be plus minus to it. But we found that this particular option was maybe the best possible solution right now to move forward. As we continue, as we see it unfold, as we see the work going on, we will decide. And if we realize that maybe it's not working out in that manner, we will explore the opportunity of also giving it to the schools. And maybe if there are schools who are willing to run, and we will definitely explore that. So we're not closing it. All I'm saying is that we need to start somewhere. And so we thought that this is the best way to start, by taking and carrying everybody along.
So, one last supplementary question, please.
Yes, I think we should experiment and only we'll know. In the process of experimentation, may I now request the Honorable Chief Minister, if you can experiment from my area first and let us see the benefits of the scheme. And it's only a humble request if the Honorable Chief Minister will agree.
Yes, sir. So if I'm not wrong, there are a total of 15 schools that have tied up with us, have signed the MOU, not MOU, but have agreed to avail these services. And I'm pretty sure that some of them are in your constituency also, sir. And in fact, the 15 schools are within the Laitumkhrah, Dhanketi area, and I guess adjoining Nongthomai area also. So they have just generically put Laitumkhrah and Dhanketi, but all these areas I'm sure are adjoining to you. So all the schools, I can name out the names of the schools also here. So there are 15 schools, and we're starting off with these, and we will expand it to other parts of the city and to other parts of the state if we find that this particular model is working well.